Hey, Trish, see the message I sent?
Anyone have anything you want to talk about before Mike starts in? Anyone do a post yesterday?
Hey, Mike, can I share your LinkedIn link? Pardon?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to say Mike Kelly one.
Yeah, there's more than one Mike.
Or Michael F. Kelly.
You will be the only Mike that I'm calling on today. Unless Mike has a question. The other Mike Kelly.
He always has a question. I can always count on Michael for a question. He's
Mike's got a question for Mike.
My go-to question guy. I love it. Come on, who did a post yesterday?
Alas, I did not. I dropped the ball.
Jordy, I did a post. I did 2 posts yesterday.
Nice. Attaboy.
Yes, and I did 2 posts as well.
That's
Nice.
great. Let me look at one quickly. I'm gonna share quickly. Right. Trish, whoever's controlling, you just gotta let me share for a sec. Who was that who said it? I didn't see the name when you guys were talking. Who said they did 2 posts yesterday?
Corey Whiting.
Corey, all right.
And Michael D. Kelly.
All right, let's look at Corey first.
Of course.
Good job, Core. I would do a smile and headshot there. Right? Good attire. I would, for the background, I think I would rather see you do something related to the career path than be original, just, you're not getting value out of the be original. I would do something that makes it very evident the path you want. What do you want to do?
Honestly, I'm just looking for a job right now because I'm transitioning out and I got 3 school-age children. So
Yep.
it's but my family wants to stay overseas, so it kind of
Right.
It kind of depends on what the job is.
I
or
would
what
do my advice, and the other guys can jump in too, but my advice would be you're more attractive if you can dial that in on something. Don't be reactive saying, I'll do whatever job is out there. Whoever's hiring, I'll work for you. I think you're less attractive to them than if you know what you want. So figure it out first, what's going to make you happiest, what's going to give you that career satisfaction, and then tailor this to that. Everything tailor the LinkedIn page, the resume, because right now it's too vague. If I land here, I'm like, what does this guy want to do? I might be very impressed by your experience, but you're not going to get a call from a recruiter, I feel, if they're confused. They're not going to take the time to dig into that.
Understood.
You got some incredible experience. I could tell from reading that, right? But if you're not going for a nuclear surety mission, which as a civilian, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Just civilianize this thing a little bit more. All right. That's all. All right. Let's just look at your post quickly. Then I'm going to hand this off to Ern. Where'd it go?
Go up to
Here we go.
right
This
there.
one
So
you want or this one? Which one? On the right or left?
Well, you can do the right one is the one that's more like for me specifically.
Okay, good. Grateful to be part of a team that helps. What team? Energy, proud of what we achieved. What is it? Oh, is this thanking your military?
So that's the Air Force award that we won as a team. Yeah.
Nice. I would just be more specific than like spell it out, like tag, grateful to thank, at US Air Force, name the name of it. If the team has a name, name it. If there are people on there who are also a part of that team with you, tag them so you can encourage that engagement, right?
Roger.
But it's great that you're doing. I like the image. That's great. But just I would go a little deeper, a little longer with the posts, but good job. I unfortunately got to open up another quick call, but I'll be back. But Ern, I'm going to hand this off to Ern if you're good with that, Ern.
Yeah, roger that.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'll be back in a sec.
Let's go, Ernie. Speak to my future.
Speak to your future. Hang on, let me find that crystal ball I got somewhere that I stole over the years. There you go. We'll go with a little bit of music. We get cranking here in a couple minutes and get things started on this lovely Tuesday. How's San Antonio treating you, Michael F. Kelly? About a bazillion degrees?
Bazillion.
I think it's going to be a high of 78 here today, so I am thrilled.
How's the construction on 1604 going? Have they finally finished the expanding of the lanes on the northwest side?
Oh my goodness. It'll be going on for another year or more.
I was just surprised how fast they were doing it. When I first
Well, they're getting it done quick. It's just there's just a lot to do. And I'm right in the thick of it. That's exactly where I live. So
okay, that's rough.
I try not to drive too many places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in San Antonio. Jeez, gosh, must have been like 10 years now.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
recognize it.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Always construction.
Oh, yeah, construction season. All season. In the Northeast, we have construction season followed up by pothole season the rest of the year.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, so potholes was my life.
And the Pennsylvania Turnpike is built of them.
Yep.
I refuse to take that road still.
That's a scary road. It's like a racetrack because it's two very narrow lanes and it's just crazy.
Yeah, plus you need a plow for the deer.
Yeah.
It's easiest place to go deer hunting if you don't mind using an expensive weapon.
Although my kids tell me that I lied to them when they were growing up. That old story about the mountain, you can't go through it. Well, until they got there, they found out you sure can go through it.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool. Let's see. Let's ready to get started, Mike?
Absolutely. Me, Mike.
Cool. Yeah, Michael. Okay. Hey, today we're honored to have Michael F. Kelly with us. Mike's been devoted over 40 years to serving both our nation and the military community. He began his career in Air Force Public Affairs, and after retiring from uniform, he continued to lead in the civilian world, most recently spending more than 20 years at USAA. As Assistant Vice President Military Advocacy, he was at the forefront of building partnerships with military, nonprofit, and business leaders to ensure service members and their families were supported and empowered. He's also a graduate of the Bush Institute Stand to Veteran Leadership Program, where he worked with other national leaders to expand impact for veterans. He's been a champion for the military community his entire career. Today he's to share lessons learned, career do's and don'ts, and insights on navigating transitions successfully. Mike, thanks for being here. We're excited to learn from your expertise. Did I miss anything? I get all the highlights in there?
Oh, that's plenty. I don't like talking about stuff, but
No, we seldom do. I mean, that's generally a military thing is you do this and people are worried about your shoulder getting hurt. So
exactly.
Hey, I'll get you started. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey from, Air Force Public Affairs to where you are today, in the corporate world in itself?
Sure. It was actually much more difficult than I expected. Having a non-combat role, I thought I would have a fairly easy time transitioning into the corporate world as a public relations specialist, a journalist, something that's very, very much needed in corporate America. But it was much more difficult than I expected. I had retired in June with 90 days of terminal leave, and my goal was to take the first 30 days and just relax. Second 30 days, start looking for that job, and then the last 30 days, try to make it happen. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way. Got a little bit nervous because 90 days into my terminal leave, I still didn't have a job, and started to panic a little bit because I made one of the biggest mistakes that many transitioning service members make, and that is not preparing financially. So you got to make sure that you got a transition plan, figuring out what you want to do, where you want to do it, but you also need to have a financial plan. So we went into kind of a panic mode of, oh my goodness, we're going to have to sell the house. Oh, we're going to have to move into an apartment. We got to make this much money. So I did not do what many people told me to do, and that was prepare financially. I think I prepared professionally, but not financially. Ultimately, it worked out very well. And honestly, it's networking that made the difference for me. As a public-facing figure in the military, had a lot of contacts, did a lot of work with a lot of external organizations.
Hey, somebody's got a hot mic.
Hot mic moment, but it involved a puppy, so that's okay. So making that transition was a little more difficult than I expected, but networking is what helped me. Really went into, like I said, that panic mode, and started going through all my business cards that I had collected. And I found a guy on there that worked in a communications role, working for the Air Force Research Laboratory as a contractor. So I called him up and I said, hey, Adrian, I've retired and I'm just looking for some work now. Do you have anything in your area? He goes, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I just am getting ready to post a part-time position online for a senior communicator role. I said, well, what's part-time mean? He said, well, part-time just means no benefits, good salary. He said, come have lunch with me today. This was at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. So I go over to have lunch with him. We're talking. Remember I had mentioned my panic about not preparing financially, and we had figured out that we needed to make at least $25 an hour to live at the same level we were living when I was active duty. So we talk. He says, hey, I've already shared your resume with my leadership team. I can hire you on Monday. I was like, oh, well, that's fantastic. What's the salary? He goes, well, I'm not going to pay you $25 an hour. And in my mind, I thought, oh, great, it's going to be less than that. This may not work out after all. I can start you at $35 an hour. So I went from panic mode, no job, Friday morning, to having a job that I reported to Monday morning, making more than $80,000 a year. So networking is what helped me. It wasn't my planning in any way, shape, or form. So that's how I got out of the Air Force Public Affairs community. It was a great role. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't very fulfilling. Wasn't where I wanted to be. We wanted to move to San Antonio. So I started firing at jobs in San Antonio, saw several at USAA that I applied for. And again, networking. I know this is like getting struck by lightning twice, but I was still working for the research laboratory. I was at the Air Force Association convention in Washington, D.C. Came around the corner and there was the USAA booth with a very dear friend of mine, former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Eric Benkin, who worked at USAA. So we got caught up. We were stationed in Europe together. We deployed together. And I said, hey, Chief, I've applied for several jobs at USAA and I haven't heard anything yet. Can you help me? He goes, shoot me your resume. So again, it was a Friday. I send him my resume over the weekend. I get a call Monday morning from the USAA HR department saying, hey, are you still interested in this job? Found out after I got hired at USAA that Chief Benkin, remember, top enlisted guy in the Air Force, went to the hiring manager, put my resume on his desk and said, I don't know who you're looking at, but this is who you need to hire. So that's how my transition happened. Very blessed beyond measure. The Lord was certainly looking out for me. I did not do a good job of preparing myself. So it's been my mission, my passion to help others successfully transition so that they don't have to go through the panic that I felt when I did it myself.
Yeah, Fridays bode well for you.
Yes, very nice.
So, I mean, you've been out over 20 years now. I mean, are there still like things that you lean on, lessons from the military career that you still lean on today?
Well, for me, working in corporate communications and public affairs in the military was an easy transition to corporate America. Very similar setup in how they're organized. internal communications, external communications, media relations. The biggest challenge was that corporate speak, because we think we've got a lot of acronyms in the military. The financial services industry has more and much more difficult to figure out. So very complicated industry, lots of regulations. So for me, the big challenge was just absorbing that corporate culture, learning how to speak and operate within it. But the same tools that I used in the military that made me successful, collaboration, active listening, because you got to make sure you understand what people are asking of you or challenging you to do to be successful. So for me, it was that corporate culture. The nice thing is at USAA, it was a little bit easier because we are a company founded by the military to serve the military. So there was a lot of military culture already baked in, but that civilian, corporate, financial, and insurance speak was a little bit difficult to overcome.
So basically they're a pretty good like layover point for somebody coming out of the military to learn the corporate stuff. You pick up the language, the culture, that'd be about right.
Absolutely. And the role that I moved into was specifically to increase USA employee awareness of the military community. So it was a natural fit for me to share my experiences of 25 years in the military with an employee base. Believe it or not, at USAA, only about 23% of the employees served. For us, we define a military affiliate as a service member, active duty, guard, reserve, military spouse. So that's who we define as military affiliates. And it was surprising to me. And I think at that time we were probably only around 20% military affiliate employee base. So that was my goals, is just to increase the awareness, appreciation, and understanding of the military that we serve for that employee base.
So you mentioned the language thing is something I talk about a lot because I run into it regularly now still. Do you feel like with the incredible amount of acronyms you mentioned, they're hard to figure out? Do you think it's because it's in corporate speak acronyms rather than like normal linguistics? They're using the corporate words and then making an acronym out of it. Was that part of the difficulty?
Oh, absolutely. And having, I just left USAA, retired in June of this year. But one of my last official duties was to onboard our new senior vice president for military affairs. I served as the deputy. So it was always sometimes humorous. He would constantly be coming in my office saying, "Hey, what's this mean? Hey, what's this mean?" So it was quite obvious that we hadn't done a very good job of translating some of that corporate speak for him. But he was a fast learner and is doing a great job.
I come in as senior VP, better be a fast learner, right?
You betcha, yeah.
So I mean, from where you sit, I mean, what are the top do's for transitioning veterans?
Well, the number one do, and it's because of my own experience, and that is to prepare. And I would say 12 months for those on active duty, 24 months for those who are going to retire, primarily because, going back to that financial aspect, you got to make sure that you're prepped financially to endure a long transition, because some of these jobs will take a year, 2 years to come to fruition. So that would be my big thing, is prepare. Choose the industries that you're interested in. It is a whole new world out there for folks, right? And if you've been in the military, whether it's 4 years for a single enlistment or 25 years or more, you may not understand all the opportunities that are out there. So choose the industry, and believe it or not, companies like USAA have everything from security forces to protect our facilities and our people, to auditors, to legal officers. So it's very similar to the military and the job opportunities that are available. So if you look at large corporations like USAA or NFCU or any of these big insurance companies, they typically are going to have a very wide variety of roles that can be offered to transitioning service members. So choose the industry and then figure out if your role fits that. If it doesn't, then you need to start your upskilling process. And there are lots of programs out there. Onward to Opportunity, which is presented by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, 4Block, Hire Heroes USA. You guys probably know a lot of these, but great resources out there to help you translate those skills and get you upskilled if you need to be. So that would be my number one priority, is prepare.
Okay, let's flip that coin. What's the big don'ts?
Ooh, don'ts. Don't assume that you are qualified for a role. You've got to demonstrate that you're qualified for a role. Too many times we use military lingo and military job descriptions in our resumes, and we think, oh, we understand it, so everybody else understands it. Not so. So don't assume that someone is going to understand what a infantry scout does or what a F-35 engine maintenance guy does. There's more than just working on the aircraft. There's leadership, there's influence. So that's what I would say. Don't rely on your understanding of your skills. Figure out how to translate those that would be understood by someone who you want to hire you.
So what advice do you give on the translation process? Is there any, people or anything out there that you know of where it's like, hey, this is great, that might be a little bit more obscure that these folks haven't heard of?
Right. The thing is, a lot of organizations, nonprofits like Hiring Our Heroes, for-profit organizations like Opline. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Opline, Oplign. They've done the hard work of translating those skills already. So they've gone out into the Department of Labor and they've looked at all the job requirements, job descriptions, and then they've looked at military specialties, Air Force specialty codes, MOSs, and they have done the hard work of saying, okay, I'm an E5 security forces NCO. I supervise a flight of people. And what they do is you put that information in there. You put in your rank, you put in your specialty code, you put in any special certifications, any training, leadership school, senior NCO leadership school, Air Command and Staff College, whatever. You plug all that information in there, and it will translate those skills and connect you with roles that you are actually qualified for. USAA uses that platform. Amazon uses that platform. Many other large corporations use that platform. So anybody that's interested in applying for a job at any one of those companies, they've got a front door for veterans and spouses. You put in your information, and this is where the magic happens through machine learning as well as artificial intelligence. Once you put all that information in there, it does the translation or alignment, I think is probably a better word for it. And then it will give you a list of all the current jobs that you're not eligible for, but qualified for, right? So that's incredibly important for young service members who don't have an idea of what they want to do if they want to change, or even those who do know what they want to do. They know clearly, hey, I actually qualify for this job. So that's where the magic happens through that skill translation and skill alignment with the platform like Opline. Hire Heroes has a very similar one. Again, they've done all the hard work. Let that work for you. That's my biggest piece of advice, I think, to transitioning service members. A lot of resources out there, more than
Yeah,
you will ever need, right? So it's up to you to figure out how to use them, but it should be very easy to find. Um, one of the other, I think one of the primary dues that I think I want to include is you've got to be very self-actualized in corporate America. In the military, we know, hey, after the first year, you're going to get promoted to E2, then you get promoted to E3. So they tell you, okay, I've got to go to Airman Leadership School or BNOC or Senior NCO Leadership School. You've got somebody out there looking out for you. In corporate America, it's you. You are responsible for your own career. So you have to be very self-actualized, very self-motivated, understand where am I on, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So that's another important factor that I think I want to foot stomp.
that's pretty good. Opline, I haven't looked at that. Like the HOH stuff, usually when I see it, it's very, okay, hey, went through, the AI and came back. It's, to me, it's still missing stuff, but I'll check out Opline and see what that looks like. Thank you.
Yeah, Opline, I believe, is a little more powerful. Hiring Heroes is in the process of updating theirs, kind of putting a new back end to it. But the great thing is with Opline, you can use that platform to adjust your resume for any role that you're applying for.
Ooh, me likey. Hey, so for those stepping into the first civilian role, what advice do you give them about paying attention to like company health or industry shifts so they're not caught off guard when something happens? Like, what warning signs would you recommend to look for?
I would say LinkedIn does a really good job of highlighting that particular industry or that particular company. if you are using LinkedIn to find jobs, and believe it or not, I'm in transition again now for the third time, having retired from USAA due to a reorg. I'm not ready to retire completely. I feel like I've got a lot more runway, a lot more left to give back to the military community. So I'm in a transition myself. So I'm taking advantage of all those things that I didn't the first time around. So I'm more financially prepared. I'm using the tools that are out there, but LinkedIn does a good job of indicating this is an industry on the rise. This is what the culture is like. There is so much information available online. Most companies, if you want to research them, they have annual reports. They talk about the culture. So take advantage of the information that's out there. We are in an information age where if you cannot find the information you need, you're not looking in the right places.
Yeah, one of the things that kills me about LinkedIn is I see companies all the time. They'll put like 20 job postings up there when they only really have one to fill to make it look like there's growth. Have you seen anything to indicate that that's the case? To kind of like, oh, okay, they're full of it.
Well, I'll just share my experience at USA, having worked there for almost 22 years. We are a very high performing company. We love veterans and spouses and military affiliates. Just in 2024, we hired more than 1,200 veterans and spouses. But we still get beat up in social media. Yeah, USAA says they like to hire people, but they're not hiring people. They're not hiring veterans. Well, they are. It's just we are a company that people want to come work for. So it would not be unusual for a low level, entry level job at USAA to get 500 applicants. So the key for that and overcoming that perception that a company is not hiring veterans is to make sure that you got a connection inside the company. So that's why networking is so important. So I just applied for an executive role at Walmart in their communications department. I've got probably 5 or 6 dear friends of mine who serve in that senior executive roles and who work at Walmart that I am using to help me get my resume noticed by others. So that's another key role. Networking is good, but you want to make sure that you have a connection within the particular company or industry that you're wanting to go into.
Yeah, the old rule of it's not what you know.
It's who you know. I want to add though something really important because I've had this happen to me. Um, I consider myself, has anybody ever heard the word mensch? It's a Yiddish term, a mensch or a maven. So they're very well connected people, got a big network. They love to help people, very altruistic in helping others. I will do that for anybody. If anybody ever wants to connect on LinkedIn or wants to spend time talking, I am open to that because that's where my heart is helping others. But at the same time, you got to build a relationship. There's a relationship funnel. Right now, we're all strangers, right? Well, actually, after this session, we'll be acquaintances. So we've met, you know a little bit about me, I know a little bit about you. But the whole idea is to take somebody through that relationship funnel. You start as a stranger, you become an acquaintance, then you become a friend, and you become a family. And there are expectations and things that happen as you progress through that. You get more from a friend or a family member, right? Who'd be willing to do anything for you than you would a stranger or an acquaintance. I can't tell you how many times people have just cold connected with me on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, would you recommend me for this job at USAA?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know you. Yeah, who are you? You could be a psycho, you know."
I love how you're searching for the right word there.
Psycho is probably so. It's you got to build that relationship, right? It's not just a connection. You got to build a relationship, and then those people will do exactly what you want them to do, and that's share with others how important it is, the skills that you have, because it's always more important to have somebody else say, "Hey, Ernest Smith is a fantastic guy. He's got what it takes for this job," than for Ernest Smith to say, "Hey, I'm a fantastic guy and I've got what it takes to do this job."
Yeah, that outside referral with somebody who actually knows you and trusts you and you've built a relationship. Because I mean, it's one thing to connect, but it's not hard to develop those relationships. It just takes a little bit of time. And you got to give as much as you take too. That's
Absolutely. Yes, you can't. This is not a one-way street. This is something you got to give. And my wife constantly says, "Well, what are you doing today?" "Well, I've got a mentoring session with somebody." She goes, "You do a lot of those." I said, "That's
it matters.
important. You got to give back." And part of that is positioning. So you've got the preparation part, you've got the positioning part. That's where you start to, make those skill translations, alignments, create your elevator pitch, connect with the people who can help you get that job that you want. So there you go.
So how did you approach mentoring and advocacy within USAA? What was your approach with that when you had the new person in who kind of needed that wing to crawl under?
Well, the nice thing at USAA is we have a very robust employee resource group, veteran employee resource group that we created back in 2007. It's actually the oldest and the largest of USAA's. They probably have 10 or 12 employee resource groups or diversity business groups, whatever you want to call them, or belonging and impact groups, I think is the new term. So we had a very robust program already. So as new employees come in, we try to connect them with mentors. It was early on, it was a very manual process. We had the list of new employees that were coming in, their service background, and we had a list of all the employees who volunteered to be mentors, and we just kind of manually connected them. Following that, once you guys are familiar with Veterati, theirs was a on-demand online platform. You guys are taking that to the next level, I think, with this initiative. But we used Veterati for a while. We used ACP. So I was giving out mentor time, but I was also seeking mentors within the corporate world so that I could make sure that I was prepared for the future.
Yeah, no matter how well positioned you are, there's always somebody a step above who can help, and they want to too. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's flattering when somebody asks for mentorship, so you got to take it seriously and pass it on.
Yes. And I would say there's a difference between mentorship and sponsorship. So mentorship is the beginning level, right? But as that relationship grows, for example, I was a E7 selectee in the Air Force in public affairs. My public affairs officer knew that I was thinking of getting out or retraining, and he said, "I want you in public affairs." Well, security forces was critically manned. Public affairs was um, overmanned.
I'm
So
unhappy.
yeah, higher command said, "You're smoking dope, young man. You're not going to transfer out of this job." Well, because this PAO had mentored me and moved that relationship to sponsorship, where you're taking it and you're saying, "I will actually help you. I will speak to you to others about the great things that you do." That's an important distinction to make, is difference between mentorship and sponsorship. So find a mentor, absolutely. You can have multiple mentors. You're only going to have one or two sponsors, I think, that are going to do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, and those sponsors, I mean, that's a lot of trust built right there because they're putting their name on the line for you, so you don't want to screw that up.
Right, right. So that's why when people cold call and say, "Hey, would you connect me and make a recommendation?" I said, "Well, I can't make a recommendation because I don't know you, but here's who you could talk to." So never leave, somebody empty-handed. Give them something that they can use.
Yeah, you never know. Hey, it might be your boss someday.
Yeah.
You never know. So I mean, what are the big cultural differences that, as you see it, that we should be prepared for, coming out of the gate and into corporate? 'Cause everybody's usually got a few different answers on this, so I'm always curious to hear what they are.
Yeah. I would say listen, active listen active listening is a very important trait. I would say work on your emotional quotient, not just your IQ, but your EQ, and make sure that you are working just as hard to understand them as you want them to work to understand you. So do your homework, understand the business that you're wanting to get into. With the advent of artificial intelligence, if you're moving into a new industry, it's quite easy to learn what the priorities are, what the lingo is. So I would say take advantage of all of that. But you definitely, much like that relationship, you got to give as much as you ask for.
So I mean, what do you see are the qualities that helps a veteran build that, that gravitas, that credibility when they come onto a new team?
Yeah, I think showing that you want to learn and that you are actively learning. Um, Many large organizations have a very robust learning and development program, online learning. So I would say take advantage of any of those type of opportunities to learn the business. if you want to be successful at any large corporation, you got to understand that business, right? Especially if you're in an executive or senior manager role, you've got to know the business. So take advantage of the learning opportunities that many of these large corporations have. Even if Google has their Grow with Google program. It's through a platform called Coursera. And I just finished a artificial intelligence, a series of certifications in artificial intelligence. It costs $50. $50 is nothing. And you are equipping and preparing yourself for greater success through a lot of that. So take advantage of the business specific learning opportunities that a business offers you.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I mean, humility, something that a lot of people preach. What are your thoughts on that one as the new guy?
As the new guy, don't wear your uniform to your new job. This is an unfortunate situation that I've seen. A retired colonel or a retired sergeant major who is used to directing people, do this, do that. No, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Comes across as very demanding, very selfish, very unprofessional sometimes if they carry that philosophy with them. In corporate America, it's all about collaboration and teamwork, which all of us are good at doing. We just got to make sure we take off that stern, disciplinarian, authoritarian approach. For me, I've always been more of a laissez-faire leader. I hire good people, I trust them, and I let them do their work. So that would be, I think, one of the biggest things is you can't have the same mentality as a Army Sergeant Major pushing troops when you come into corporate America. You can try it, but you may not last very long.
Yeah, no, not unless you're going to become a corrections officer, maybe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are some of those pitfalls that folks can avoid when first joining a company? Like, I was told, hey, your boss is going to ask you to do stuff. Don't volunteer for too much, because that happened to me because I was used to being directed. So when somebody asked me a question, I was like, of course I can do that, and I'd find the way to make the time. I mean, what are your thoughts on that kind of stuff?
Honestly, it's we use the word humility already, but I would say honesty. I became a better dad or a better leader when I became a dad, just using basic principles. Be honest. I mean, everything we needed to succeed in life, we learned in kindergarten, right? It's not much more than that. Tell the truth, be honest. So I think many times transitioning service members are afraid to be honest and say, hey, I'm struggling a little bit, or hey, I need your help with this. I want to do a great job on this project that you've given me. Are there other people that you can connect me with that might be able to help me? Don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, as a hiring manager, as an executive at USAA, I'd much rather somebody come to me and say, I don't understand what you've asked me, rather than seeing them working their tail off, plowing into a project, and then they come back and they're not even close to what we had wanted. So I would say honesty is a good part of that. Humility, of course, and then just being open to direction. Don't be afraid when people provide you feedback. It's kind of a joke at USAA. We had this corporate development program, and it was all about your mood elevator and how to prepare for success. And one of the things was don't be afraid of feedback. Feedback is a gift. That was one of the primary messages. And it was like, yeah, it is, but at the same time, it's sometimes not necessarily a gift. But being open to feedback, I think, is incredibly important so that you can make sure that you're achieving the objectives that your leaders want you to do.
Now, feedback militarily and feedback on the corporate side are two very different animals. Like in the military, you get feedback. Your boss is like, you did this, this, and this, do this, this, and this. On the corporate side, it's, hey, this is, I feel, but you got to read between the lines. What are your thoughts there of how to interpret that and not to screw it up? Because I had a hard time with that.
Yeah, well, again, it's just being honest, saying I don't understand, or I want to make sure that I understand exactly what you're looking for. So again, it's just going back to if you're feeling like you're getting that corporate speak, it's okay to say, what does that mean? I'd rather have people question that than to just go out there and do what they think they're supposed to be doing. So that would be, I think, a good thing to reinforce is ask for clarity. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, swallow your pride. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it goes
so
back to that self-actualization. Am I really comfortable with what they've asked me to do? Do I really understand this? That's something that you got to work out within yourself. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's when you've got to take action.
yeah. So I mean, we come out with, depending, E4, O10, we all kind of coming out with some leadership skills, if not by practice, at least by exposure. So when you bring that into the corporate world, how do you, still show that without maybe threatening the boss? Because on the corporate side, they're always worried about people taking their job, whereas in the military side, our job was to replace, to train our replacement. So how do you approach not threatening the boss while still showing leadership skills if you're not in management?
Yeah, well, I think it's important for folks to recognize that they are no longer a colonel in the military or a sergeant major or an E5. They're moving into a whole new world. So they've got to make sure that they understand what that company is looking for, what that leader is looking for. But yeah, it can be very difficult sometimes to make that transition.
Yeah, it was a surprise. So what's your advice on balancing, patience and with ambition and career growth with that in mind?
Um, well, career growth, and I'll speak just because I've been at USAA for the last almost 22 years. I can't tell you how many senior military leaders, enlisted officer, uh, have come into my office and say, "Mike, I've got to get a different job. I want to lead people. I want to manage people." And unfortunately, unless you have a very specific niche, unique role, typically as service members transition out of the military, they're going to go into an individual contributor role. They're not going to walk straight into an executive role unless you have a very niche skill that company needs. So you got to make sure that you are taking all the opportunities to learn as much about this new role and understand that it's a career progression and you're in charge of that career progression. Now, there may be you might find somebody at a large corporation who really likes you and they become your sponsor slash mentor and they will help promote you, but that is very unique. So it's really up to the individual to make sure that they're doing everything they can to prepare themselves for that future leadership opportunity. But it's hard and it takes a long time. You've got to be in this for the long haul. Um, Anything that you can do to help yourself thrive as you're going through that, staying connected to veteran service organizations, volunteering in your local community, giving back through mentorship, that's going to help you be more successful and more happy in the role that you've chosen.
So do you have any examples of how you might have faced like a tough challenge like that and how you worked it?
As far as getting through, but this is kind of humorous.
Love it.
At USAA, we have what we call one-on-ones. So your manager, you have a one-on-one with your manager, typically every at least once a month, right? Just to check in on projects. I was feeling a lot of pressure from my new boss. I'd only been at USAA for a year. The individual that hired me retired, so I was transferred to a new uh, senior leader, and they had a certain perception of what I was supposed to be doing that was different than what I was supposed to be doing. I
Mhm.
was not happy. I was getting a lot of negative feedback about my work. Um, and one of our senior executives shared this list of 10 questions that you can ask your people on what motivates them, what makes them happy, what makes them want to come to work in the morning. I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. So I filled out this thing, very, very detailed. There are like 10 questions. And I just put everything on there and put it on a piece of paper. So I'm in my boss's office. My back is to the door. She's facing the door. And as happens a lot at USA, somebody walks by and they say hi, and I turn around to see who it is and say hello. I turn back around. She had taken my paper, flipped it around, and started reading it. And I could see the red on her neck beginning to rise. It came up her neck to her cheeks, and she looked at me and she said, "You think I'm the one who's causing all this churn?" I said, "Well, can I have my paper back first?" You weren't supposed to read that. I wanted to talk to you about this, but
Wow.
yes, I can tell you exactly that you are the one who is causing this churn and how to fix it. If you would like to have that discussion, I would love to have that discussion with you. So we went through each one of those things, and it was hard. I thought I may not have a job after this, but having walked through that and kind of cleared the air on expectations, issues, after that, it was a completely different environment. She supported me. She encouraged me. She helped me get the training that she felt that I needed to make improvements. So again, it all goes back to that humility. I had to humble myself, and then you've got the honesty part working there too. So that's one example, and I'm glad that she didn't fire me.
Yeah, that's some pucker factor, I'm sure, when you
Yeah.
turned around and,
And she
oh,
was looking at it, yeah, and her neck was already red, and I thought, okay, well, it's been nice working here.
yeah, well, I guess I'll update my resume.
Yeah.
Uh, hey, you spend a ton of time doing career advocacy. Why do you think it's important we give back?
Oh my goodness. I mean, that's my heart. I mentioned earlier about giving back. It's always been my approach to life as a Christian, giving back to my community, whatever that community is. Whether it was in the military, whether it's now after I'm out of the military and giving back to those who are wanting to make that transition. It's a part of me. It will always be a part of me. Since I retired from USAA, I've probably done, probably 10 or 15 mentoring sessions. People just want to reach out and find out how I was able to be successful in this space. So it's really just an internal thing for me to give back, something that I've always done and something I'll continue to do, whether it's mentoring or whether it's volunteering. Here in San Antonio, they have the American GI Forum shelter for homeless veterans. While we were at USAA, we set up a regular monthly lunch. We would go provide lunch for these veterans and of our veteran employee resource group. So we'd take all these previously serving veterans, go to the veteran homeless shelter, feed them, visit with them, encourage them, support them, and that's always been a part of who I am.
That's awesome. So, I mean, is there any particular partnerships or, you know, community work that you've seen made the biggest difference?
Well, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about giving back in the transition space is because there are so many great organizations. That was one of my most significant projects and at USAA, and one of the things I'm most proud of was getting us into that transition space. And we've continued to grow our presence, our impact. 6 or 7 years ago, our CEO made a decision that 1% of all of USAA's pre-tax income would go to philanthropic investments, donations to non-government or nonprofits, and 1% of that, or excuse me, 60% of that would go to the military. So that's when we came on board about 2012, supporting Hunger Heroes, all these new organizations that are out there. And people say, well, why them and why this particular issue? I said, because it's making a difference. In 2012, when we first started addressing veteran unemployment, it was probably 16% at that time. I believe it's below 3% now. Service members still need jobs, so we're never going to walk away from that. But at the time, veteran transition was extreme, or unemployment was extremely high. We worked very closely with the Department of Defense, with Undersecretary of the Army, Patrick Murphy, who's a dear friend of mine, former congressman from Pennsylvania. The Army funds unemployment for the military. When service members get out of the military, they can apply for unemployment. Well, guess who pays that? The Department of Defense. And the Army in particular had the financial responsibility for that. In 2012, they were spending almost $1 billion a year on unemployment. Today, that number is about 300 million, maybe even a little less, right? So people say, why are you committed to helping service members make successful transitions? into meaningful careers, it's that. It's not just helping make sure that they're thriving and surviving, but that we're also helping to save the federal government money that can be used for something else.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing either. So I mean, just like you kind of indicated, career paths don't always go in a straight line. What's your advice on staying resilient during those transitions?
Wow, yes. And that's something that I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah.
My role was eliminated due to a reorganization. That happens. I understand that. Doesn't make it any easier. I was fortunate. I got a very generous severance package, so I can take the time to find that right next role. But honestly, my biggest challenge right now is staying motivated. I am bored out of my mind. My honey-do list is done every single day. I've got a third grandchild on the way, so I spend a lot of time with the grandkids. But
Congrats.
I am not ready to stop working completely. So my biggest challenge is staying motivated. My wife is constantly saying, "Oh, you seem a little down today." I said, "Yeah, I'm a little frustrated that things aren't happening as quickly as I had hoped." So resilience is a personal choice. There's a lot of resources out there that can help you be more resilient, but it really is an individual attitude and approach, and something that I have to stay focused on daily.
Yeah, don't let them win.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
don't
don't
give
let
up,
'em win.
Chip.
So, I mean, how do you recognize our folks tell their stories to employers so it really resonates, it hits, they get it?
Understanding that employer's mission, and how you fit into that mission. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's all about, so for example, if you have a job description for a company and they're asking or showing, here's what you need to be successful in this role, you dang well better sure have that type of information in your resume when you apply for that job. It's really just understanding a hiring manager's approach. And honestly, I don't, as a hiring manager, and I've hired probably 20 or more people during my time at USAA, I don't care who you know. I want to know if you can do this job for me, right? I remember very clearly a retired colonel thought he had the gig. He already worked at USAA. He was very positive, but the interview, he did not do well in his interview because he assumed that the role was his, and all he did was drop names. I don't care about that. Hiring managers don't care about who you know. They want to know if you can do the job and help that team succeed. So I think people need to focus on their ability to align what they did in the military with what that company wants them to do.
Yeah, the only time they care about who do you know is if you're a general officer, they're just hiring you for your contact list
Yep,
first.
yep,
Wait for that cooling off period to really put you to work. That's not happening for colonel and below usually.
no, no, not very often.
No. So this is my last question, but if you folks have questions, raise your hand up and definitely ask. This would be my last one. So, I mean, if you could go back to say 6 months, let's say 3 months before you got out of the military, you could whisper something in your ear as a heads up. What would it be?
Oh man, there's lots of good lessons there.
Yeah,
You should have started
it's a tough
sooner.
one. But especially with that 20 years now in between. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have started sooner. It takes a long time. I mentioned that, um, you know, some places who say they're going to create a role, it could be 6 months later and then they finally create the role. So if you're not prepared financially, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. You're going to have to find something right away to help you make that. So yeah, looking back, I'd tell myself to start earlier and to be more open to pursuing other industries than what I went into. Um, Today, honestly, I don't think if I did not have the 20 years experience at USAA, a lot of these companies have requirements. You've got to, depending on the role, you must have 8 years of financial industry experience. Well, I didn't have that coming out of the military, so I likely wouldn't have gotten that role, except for the fact that they needed someone with military communications experience.
Yeah, that PA communications I mean, you are the gateway, almost like recruiting. You're the gateway between the civilian and military world, and you got to be very cautious linguistically, especially in the PA side where everybody's listening, not just a couple people.
Yeah, and everybody thinks they can be a PA. Oh yeah. That's just public affairs. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Yeah, working with them on the recruiting side of stuff. I was like, yeah, I don't want your headaches, and they'd look at me like, I don't want your headaches. I was like, okay, good. We both need that 800 milligrams of Motrin that fixes everything.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so, and any closing thoughts you'd like to share before I let you get going back to the boredom and the incomplete honeydew list of the day?
Yeah. I would say, honestly, take stock of who you are, understand the talents that you have, and they are of value to someone, and understand that it may take you a while to help to try to figure out who you can help the most and who wants your help the most. Stay motivated. This is not a quick or easy process. Sometimes it can be. I mean, that first transition out of uniform into a defense contractor role, it was fairly easy. It happened within a 1 hour
Lunch.
time period. Yeah, exactly. So um, stay focused, stay motivated, um, ask for help, network like you would not believe, and take it beyond just connecting with someone, but actually saying, hey, I'd like to talk with you and find out how you successfully did this. So most people, if they're being asked for advice like that, are very eager and ready to give that type of advice because they want to help other people succeed.
Oh, everybody loves giving advice. I mean, I've yet to meet anybody who doesn't. Hey, John, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Michael, thanks for coming to talk to us today. The one question I have is when you're talking with other veterans, some of the advice that we've gotten here in Seven Eagle that veterans are looking at 3 or 4 different jobs once they separate or retire from the military. So is that something that you've kind of like seen in your own life, seen working with other veterans, and then with the job market being a little bit funky, do you think people need to start leaning even far forward, preparing to get out?
Yes, especially if you're going to change your focus area, right? So I see you've got cyber on your name there, right? So that's a skill that all industries are looking for right now. Sniper, not so much. Tank driver, no. Mortarman, no. So it's really, if you are going to be changing your career direction and moving into something new, you definitely have to start earlier. And if that's going through, taking college courses or doing online learning through Grow with Google or any other place like that, if you're going to be switching those careers, you got to start much earlier because you're going to have a much longer time to prep and get the skills and the experience that those people want. And I'll be honest with you, I have seen people do an excellent job at preparation, and they want to be a program manager, so they get their program manager certification, and then they start working in roles where they actually can apply that. I seen the opposite where you've got a young E4 separating from the Army after a first tour as a trooper at the 82nd Airborne. I remember being at an event there, and we had probably 2,000 soldiers in that hangar. That was their duty day. Go and learn about transition and how to help find a job. We had a networking opportunity afterwards, and I talked to probably at least 50 service members. And I'm talking to them and say, so when are you getting out? End of the month. It's now the 15th, right? Well, what are you going to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. So that preparation piece is incredibly important if you want to be successful. Is you've got to take the time to prep and prepare for success.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Hey, so this has all been fantastic stuff, Michael F. Kelly. Just so I say it correctly. Thank you very much for coming in and sharing some time with us, sharing some wisdom, and the humility and everything else. It's really appreciated when you have a good, open, honest conversation.
Absolutely. And
Definitely keep
anybody that
success
wants
going.
to reach out to me on LinkedIn, please do. I have not had a chance to look through. I don't know if there are any other questions in the chat there. But I want to look through there and connect with some of you guys. But yeah, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to connect and share more if that's what you'd like.
I appreciate it, Michael. Hey, go get that next job and kill it. I have full confidence that you're going to do great.
Thanks, brother. All right. So I
Awesome.
can sign off now?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we'll see you again.